I want to ask you about Iran, though, because this is something that the president promised the United States, promised the people during his 2015-16 campaign, and that was to pull out of the JCPOA, the Iran nuclear deal, and bring a better deal. Well, the better deal hasn't happened, and the president's strategy of maximum pressure hasn't delivered what he said it would deliver, like bringing them back to the table, etc. How do you judge that right now? And do you think if the president is re-elected, or if there's a President Biden, that there needs to be a different tack to try to do what you want to do with Iran?
I don't think so. I think the maximum pressure campaign has had an enormous effect on Iran. You just look at their oil exports or the condition of their economy, or look at the rial, which has basically collapsed, the Iranian currency. I don't think they can take 4 more years of this. So I think if the president's reelected, or if there's a Biden administration, if they're smart enough to do this, we're at the moment where the Iranians will recognize, because they can't take 4 more years of this, they will be ready to enter into a negotiation. I think the pressure will have achieved its goal if they see that we're ready to keep it going.
Okay, so this is really interesting because you say they can't take another 4 years. Well, they've taken 40 years of maximum American pressure and maximum international pressure, and they haven't bended over, so to speak. And in fact, the foreign minister, Javad Zarif, was recently in New York. He spoke to the Council on Foreign Relations, and he said, if America's goal is to bring us to our knees, they haven't done it, and they won't do it. So, you know, I'm just trying to figure out how you will get to where you want to go in terms of, you know, in terms of policy, because even you, or rather your administration, was isolated at the UN recently, trying to deal with the arms embargo again, trying to put UN sanctions on Iran. And it was US who was isolated there. Your allies said no. So if you don't have your allies, how is this going to work?
Well, first, Christiane, previous sanctions, which were, as you know, relieved by the Obama administration, which permitted about $150 billion to go to the Iranian regime. Previous sanctions were nothing like what we have now. You can see it in the Iranian currency. You can see it in the Iranian economy. You can see it in Iran's inability to export very much oil. It's down about 90–95%. So there's never been this kind of pressure. Now, as to the so-called isolation of the United States, I think we've demonstrated many times that it doesn't matter when it comes to sanctions what foreign ministers say, whether in the UN or anywhere else. The decision to abide by U.S. sanctions isn't made by foreign ministers. It's made by 10,000 or 50,000 individual company presidents, bankers, lawyers for companies and financial institutions who look at those sanctions and say, I'm not going to risk it. So the pressure has never been like this, and we will keep it going, and we will increase it, as you'll see in the coming days and weeks.